Hi there everyone, welcome back to the Inspired Method Marketing and Business Coaching YouTube channel. My name is Trevor and this is my business partner Josh Spurl with Spurl & Associates, Chartered Professional Accountants. And we're here today and the topic is Vancouver Business Coach, Top 10 Habits of Millionaires. Millionaires. A lot of people are asking, how do I become a millionaire? Well, here's some habits that are going to help you. Mark Twain said, whenever you find yourself on the side of the majority, it's time to pause and reflect. That is no more true then than it is today. Absolutely. If you are on that side, just question, right? And we'll talk probably a little bit more about that in the video. Entrepreneurs are 125% more successful if they've worked previous jobs in the industry they're currently doing business in. That's an interesting stat, and I'm sure you've seen that over your years of consulting businesses. When it comes to being successful, I often look at what other people are doing and what they've done to get there, and then I model it. That's the pathway to victory, isn't it, Josh?
Yes, yes,
right.
it really is.
So, number one tip, millionaires read for self-improvement. They read for self-improvement. They don't just scan on Facebook or Twitter or any of these things. They actually read books. Did you know that, Josh?
Yeah, I mean the inquisitive mind is usually the one that's going to be successful at the end of the day. So whether it's reading books or if you have a good YouTube channel that you can follow, even audio books or a podcast, it's basically consuming information to learn, right?
Yes.
And that's kind of what you want to do. And I would say you go deep on a few rather than wide on many first. I mean, to really get a grounding, you want to have a couple of anchors, right?
Yeah.
A couple, 1, 2, 3 people that you follow very closely, and then you consume a couple of ideas here and there that will make incremental improvements.
Yeah, and don't do what Ty Lopez has this thing. I can read a book an hour, a book a day, or whatever it is. Ridiculous.
Knowledge. It's about knowledge.
Yeah, 30 bucks in 30 days. Like, you cannot read a book in a day. You just can't. You can get the Cliff's Notes, you can scan, but that is not what I mean by reading. I mean by actually consuming a good book like the E-Myth Revisited or something of that nature. That'll help you to grow and expand your mind. Number 2, they have more than one income stream. Curious. Millionaires have more than one income stream. So, how does that look for you, Josh Raymond?
Yeah, I mean, you do. You have more than one income stream. I'm involved in more than one business. Even within those businesses, we sell different things, right? I mean, you talk to a trades guy and they're just thinking about selling this. And I'm like, every person who buys this also buys this. How come you don't have a referral stream, or have you considered that sort of business as well? And then it moves into passive investments as well. But most people they go a little too early into the passive investments when they talk about real estate or stocks, right? Think about income, more than one income stream from active businesses first, because you're never going to get the same rate of return in a passive. You're not going to trade stocks and achieve a rate of return better than Warren Buffett. That's not what's going to happen. Warren Buffett gets his 18%, but you might get 20, 30, 40, 50% in a business that you start on your capital, right? Yeah. So it is your highest rate of return. Ultimately, it's a little bit governed by your time, but start there first and don't limit yourself to one active stream of business.
Yeah, you should always be passionate about that one first business first and then move into other ones. But just keep that in mind, that more than one income and revenue stream is important to become a millionaire. Next, they live on a monthly written budget. A monthly written budget. Now, this can sometimes be hard because people don't really learn how to live on a budget and don't have the benefit of having a CPA for a business partner who can help you get your life on track and get your expenses and your revenue expenses taken care of. So, what are some quick tips on creating that budget?
So the budget, remember, most of the knowledge that you consume out there on personal budgeting is built for the 96% of the population that doesn't own a business. So it's actually kind of inefficient for you. So what you need to do, and it's super important. I think it's One of the quotes is like, if you don't have the ability to save, the seeds of greatness are not within you, right? So if you don't have the ability to manage, cash flow, if you can't do it in your personal life, how the heck are you going to do it in a 7-figure business, right? Because it doesn't get any easier, it gets harder, right? So think about, the first thing is we've got to separate your business and personal life, and we separate that in terms of accounts. Regardless of the structure, for a proprietorship or a partnership or a corporation, you want to have separate accounts, right? And the business income is coming in there, and then there's going to be a certain amount that's going to be removed with the help of a tax professional that's going to come into your personal account every month. And from that, here's where it changes a little bit for the average person doing personal financial planning, where the average person earning T4 income doing personal financial planning, they can have these really detailed spreadsheets right down to the penny, because really the only way for them to increase wealth is to decrease expenditures. But if you own a business, you want to have a simplistic way to do it, because things are going to change over time. So I tell people, add up all your fixed expenses, the ones you can't get out of: the rent, the mortgage, the utility payments, the gym membership, the cable bill. Add those up. What can you not get out of before you pass go, before you make any decisions? And then the rest, you're going to have a buffer for the variable expenses, the groceries, the entertainment, the vacation once in a while. So maybe you have $3,000 of fixed bills that come in every month, and don't overanalyze your utility bill. I know it's higher in the winter and the summer. Just pick the average, and then you have the things that you can actually make choices on, because you can steal from the groceries for the entertainment, but you can't not choose to pay the mortgage to pay the utility bill. So fixed, variable, flat number at the end. Usually we're something like 3,000, 4,000, 5,000, 10,000 a month, whatever that is. You know what it is. It comes out of your business account once a month. You go through that, and only that. That's the proven path.
Yeah. Keep it simple. Keep it simple. And then the next thing millionaires do, they use proper tax planning to not leave any money on the table. Super important for people to understand. If you're trying to go it alone, and you have your receipts in a shoebox or something, and then you hand it into an account at the end of the year, that is the worst possible way to deal with your business expenses. So what are some advantages that people can have hiring a chartered professional accountant such as yourself? Not just an accountant, but a chartered professional accountant, a CPA.
Yeah, even within CPAs, there's like CPAs that actually are very familiar with small business tax planning, not filing. Two different things, right? And so, I mean, for example, in Alberta, the highest personal rate's 48%, whereas the small business rate's 11%, right? There's not a lot we can do for that person earning, $200,000 a year of T4 income. You can buy some RSPs, but it's very limited, right? It's not unusual that we can get someone who, has $1 million a year of income to a 20-odd% tax rate. So that's not unusual that we can accomplish that. But it's not a one-size-fits-all solution. The fact is that owning an active business is one of the most tax-efficient things that you can do in Canada. You can get a better tax result, but you got to hire a professional to do it.
Yeah. Nobody likes paying taxes. Nobody likes paying more taxes than they ought to. And getting in touch with Josh at spurl.ca will help you create that financial plan and tax plan so that you're not leaving money on the table and giving the government more money than they deserve. Okay? Next, they avoid bad debt. So what am I talking about bad debt? I'm talking about buying entertainment and buying vacations on the credit card. Doing things like that aren't going to help you. So rather, you're paying 24, 25, whatever percent interest, that's bad debt. That is not going to help you grow your business. Now there is good debt, and Josh, you have some ideas of what good debt would look like for a business owner.
I mean, good debt, a lot of times good debt is it might be the debt that you have on real estate, especially if you have debt at a reasonable rate on a rental property that's generating income. It's maybe you're using a home equity line of credit to finance the startup of a business. Again, you're never going to get that rate of return anywhere else. So things like that are good debt, and you want to avoid the consumer good debts. I want the big screen TV, I want the vacation, whatever I want the trailer. You did not need that.
Yeah.
And the other one is vehicles. I mean, did you need the $1,100 a month truck payment? I was like, we all know that the $30,000 truck would have did the exact same thing, but it just didn't look as pretty, right?
Yeah.
They're the traps, and you see people rolling these things in, and all of a sudden now they have a $70,000 truck, and they owe $90,000 on it because they were underwater last time and they rolled this thing. You got to get off that wheel, because it's not for you, it's for the bank.
Exactly. So stop doing those types of things. Pay cash. Save up your money. Pay cash, because 0% interest is much better than 23% interest. Okay? Next, they set daily goals. Millionaires set daily goals. Now, setting a goal daily is one thing, something that you want to achieve in this day. Now, for me, I've got a number of different client initiatives that need to be taken care of on a daily basis. There's some things that need to get done in my business, and I set those small goals on a regular basis. That'll help me get to my bigger goals, which I remind myself of every day. Now, it may look different for you, but you should have some kind of a target, because if you are aiming at nothing, you'll hit it every time. What thoughts do you have on setting goals, Josh?
Yeah, to me it comes back to a calendar, right? So that goals, it's reflected in my calendar. So, based on my goals, I assemble a calendar that's going to help me achieve those goals, and then every day I just execute on that calendar, right? And sometimes it might not seem ideal in that day, but I have you have that knowledge of knowing that when you were thinking strategically about the big picture, that is what you would have to do. And in order to do that, you're going to have to have some things undone. That's the hardest part, right? Is some things will have to be undone, but you have that calendar that provides your buffer, and then you know what to do and what not to do.
Exactly. It helps out so much. The next thing, rich people, habits of millionaires, they don't act like they're rich. They're not out buying the $3,000 suits. They're not getting the Rolls Royce or the Lambo. They're not, getting the 10,000 square foot house. It's usually people in the $200,000, $300,000 income range that are buying all these things that they can't afford, such as doctors and physicians, surgeons. These people in professional things. They make a lot of money, but a lot of times they're in a bad financial position because they overspend based on their credit ability. Josh, I'm sure you have seen this many times.
Yeah, I mean, you really see it on the, it's called the Instagram world of today, where the people who might appear wealthy on an Instagram post, they're not actually that wealthy, right? They might be, renting in their parents' basement still. Yeah, they go out and rent a Lambo or fly private once to make you think that they're wealthy, right? The goal isn't, to live hand to mouth. The goal is to make sure that the lifestyle that you adopt, you can consistently support it, and not if your business takes a little bit of a detour next month, you shouldn't be concerned. It should be well within your means, because business is not straight line. It's like this, right? And so if you're always trying to live that to the top, as soon as that invariable dip happens next time, you're going to struggle, right? So you really want to establish where your means are, and eventually you do want to live like you're rich, but not before you actually are.
Yes.
That's the challenge, right?
Exactly. That makes so much sense. So next of the top 10 habits of millionaires, they're entrepreneurs. Most people who become millionaires, they start and run successful businesses. That is one of the best possible ways that you can become a millionaire, is by owning and running a business. Now, you can get rich doing a T4 job. It just takes a lot longer typically. Josh, you've helped many people get to $1 million or more. What are some tips or advice you have for people who want to become rich and owning a business?
I think it's actually more predictable to become rich as a T4 employee, as what I've earned, but it's probably never going to get you that time freedom that you wanted, right? So there's two things happening, right? You need financial freedom, you need time freedom, right? If you have a T4 job, you always have to show up to that job in order to get paid, right? If you have a business, you can eventually get paid and reduce your working hours, right? Now here's the challenge is, saving your way to $1 million is one thing, right? And it's a little bit more incremental, and you can see the progress. becoming a millionaire owning a business is usually a 10-year process. Like it's usually about 10 years, right? And most people get into it thinking that, you know, it's funny, I see these business plans and they have an exit strategy for 3 to 5 years and they're going to sell it for 7 figures. And I'm just like, yeah, you go buy a lottery ticket too. That's about the same statistical chance that that's going to work. So you have to just be willing to almost suffer without being able to see the results in the bank account, and then you get the exponential growth. And now you have the exponential growth where you're actually worth that amount of money, and you can simultaneously turn down the number of hours you're working too, and you know the trajectory of the business doesn't change all that much, right? So it's a different animal altogether.
Yeah, you know, working 30, 40 years to get a pension at the end is hard. So is growing a business. Pick your heart. I think the business side is much, much more attractive to me. So next, millionaires schedule their time wisely. They schedule their time. They actually have a calendar where they know what is happening. It's a predictable, repeatable schedule that they are doing on a regular basis, on a weekly basis, so they know what's going on. Other outside things are not affecting what they do. They are telling what their time is going to do. So they're the masters of their ship in a way. So Josh, you know, you are a successful entrepreneur, and you know, you run basically on a very, very tight schedule. Who else runs on tight schedules and, you know, predictable schedules?
Almost every successful business owner. And you want to learn what a successful business owner is. If you can see their calendar, whether it's a written book or whether it's an Outlook file or in their phone or something. Don't look at what they did last month. Look at what they have blocked out for the following months. Like unsuccessful people, you know, they might have, you know, it might look very busy of what they did, you know, last week, last month, whatever it is. But then when you flip forward in their calendar, they have nothing planned. They might just be busy as it's coming in and allocating all tasks, you know, as they come in on the order which they're received, which is not what's the highest priority, right? Successful people have it planned out. They've it blocked in the future what I'm doing next month, what I'm doing next week, what I'm doing tomorrow. It's already planned. And it's not based on who yells the loudest today, right? It's based on what do I have to allocate my time for on a strategic basis to get big picture where I'm going.
That's right. So if you don't have a calendar, if you don't know what's happening tomorrow, start right now, write some things down, and get started with that plan. Next, the last thing, people who are millionaires, they're patient. They are very patient. Now, patience is a very difficult thing for a lot of people because we've been trained to, you know, order it on Amazon. It shows up in a day or two. You can go through the drive-thru and get your meal instantly. You know, you want to watch something on the big screen. You can dial it in and boom, it's there immediately. Getting rich, you've heard a lot of these online gurus telling you, oh, you can get rich in 90 days, 30 days, whatever their ridiculous pitches are. Most, I would say all people who are millionaires, they're extremely patient, almost to the point of annoyingly patient, right, when it comes to things. So Josh, what are your thoughts on that?
They have the test that they do with little kids. Like psychologists have done this test, they call it the marshmallow test. Leave the kid alone in a room with a marshmallow that they want to eat. And they tell them don't eat the marshmallow. And they find the kids who eat the marshmallow, if they follow them throughout their lives, you know, 10, 20, 30, 40 years later, the kids who had the discipline not to eat the marshmallow end up being more successful later in life. It really comes down to delayed gratification. And it's becoming harder these days because we're getting used to that dopamine release that we have from social media and that feed that's you know, we're expecting that gratification quicker than ever before, when really, you know, the methodology for business has not changed. Like I said, the main payoff for owning a business is 10 years later. I mean, if you look at it, when you start a business, 2 years later, 3 years later, you're probably worse off than if you just would have stuck with your job. You really are, right? If you would have stuck with your job with an effective saving strategy, you know, the real economic payoff and even the time freedom payoff is usually a decade down the road. So, I mean, don't start it unless you're willing to walk the path.
That's right. So that's what we have. There's our top 10 habits of millionaires. You heard it here from Josh Spurl. with Spurl and Associates Chartered Professional Accountants, and myself, Trevor from Inspired Method Marketing and Business Coaching. Thank you so much for joining us. We'll see you on the next video.